All right, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Monday, December 8th regular meeting of Kimberley City Council held here on the homelands of the Ktunaxa peoples. Before we get started tonight, I think most have heard this already, but I wanted to give a recognition this evening for Jack Radcliffe, who passed away last week. Jack was 97 years old, had a very, very full life, and by his own admission was ready to go probably a couple of months ago. He was just an awesome individual who gave it all for this community, and including 29 years on city council. I was interrupted by one term from 08 until 11, and that was it. Other than that, it was 29 years of continuous service. The not-for-profits in town, I don't know the exact number, but almost every not-for-profit, Jack was the treasurer, if not at the same time, then certainly at one time or another. He will be missed, and condolences to the family. Okay, do we have any late items this evening other than the correspondence? Okay, we have 3 items of correspondence that we'll defer to receipt until we're dealing with correspondence at the end of the meeting, if that's okay with council. All right, given that, could I have a mover to adopt the agenda, please? Councillor Fox moves, Councillor McBain seconds. All those in favor? That motion is carried. Next up, we have adoption of the minutes of the special meeting of November the 17th. Mover, please. Councillor Cairns, thank you. Councillor McGuire seconds. All those in favor? That motion is carried. And next up, it's the adoption of the minutes of the regular meeting of council held on November the 24th. Councillor Roberts moves and Councillor McBain seconds. All those in favor? That motion is carried. All right, that's the formalities. Thank you, council. We're buzzing right along. We have a public hearing this evening, and it's the first one we've had in a while. So bear with me while I kind of read through the process here, the statutory process that we need to follow for the hearing. It's not just for us, but for members of the public. So first of all, by brief overview, we will be hearing submissions by telephone or in person. If anyone is listening via the YouTube stream that would like to share their comments on these bylaws, please call now. The number is 1-604-449-3026. That's 604-449-3026. And when prompted, enter the meeting number, which is 2770-281-8764. When asked for a password, simply enter the hash or the pound symbol on the on your mobile device. Once you're connected, you will be able to hear the meeting, but will be muted on hold until it's your turn to speak. If you are listening to the live stream while on the phone, please make sure to mute or turn down the volume on the live stream to avoid causing any audio feedback. There is a slight delay between the YouTube broadcast and the live connection on the phone. You may let us know that you would like to speak by entering *3 on the phone, and that essentially will allow you to raise your hand. You will know when it's your turn to speak when you hear that your microphone has been unmuted. We ask everyone for patience during the public hearing, especially these onlines with the telephone connections. They can be a little bit arduous for those calling in from outside, so patience, please. Any person who believes that their interest in property is affected by this proposed bylaw will be given an opportunity to be heard. No one will or should feel discouraged or prevented from making their view known. Members of council may ask questions of you during your presentation for clarification purposes. However, the main function of council members at this hearing is to listen to the comments being presented and not debate the merits of the proposed bylaw or any comments as presented. You will be given 5 minutes for your presentation, or up to 5 minutes for your presentation. You don't need to, 5 minutes is a long time. You don't need to take the entire 5, but you will have up to 5 minutes. I will call for presentations 3 times before the closing of the hearing. And once the public hearing is closed, council members cannot take any further input regarding the proposed amending bylaw, although that's a little bit moot because we're going to be dealing with it later in this meeting in any event. Thank you for your cooperation and your patience, and let's move forward. The public hearing this evening is for bylaw 2793, bylaw 2794, and bylaw 2795. This electronic hearing is being convened pursuant to Section 464 of the Local Government Act in order to consider these 3 bylaws. We will begin, first of all, with a brief overview of the bylaw and then call for submissions from those on the phone or in the gallery. So, Troy, over to you.
Thank you, Mayor McCormick. The bylaw amendments being considered here tonight in this public hearing are proposed to meet the provincial legislative requirements of the Housing Statutes Residential Development Amendment Act, Bill 44, which requires integration of the City of Kimberley's housing needs report into local planning bylaws. The proposed changes include, and speaking more specifically to the proposed official community plan amendments, a vision statement, language enhancements to the vision statements with a focus on inclusive housing and connection to the natural environment, large parcel neighborhood plan requirements for development proposals and subdivisions to ensure alignment with the OCP and other city policies, and as well as accessible unit requirements for multi-unit developments. And then there is also proposed amendments to the zoning bylaw, 1850, which include group home definition edits and allowances principal use in most residential zones. A new community commercial use is proposed to allow for creation of accessory commercial units in the RS and RM zones, which is one of the proposed name change of the R3 zone. And removable of multiple unit dwellings as a principal use from the C1 zone. Proposed amendments also contain multiple minor amendments, minor edits, and housekeeping amendments throughout. And that's good.
That's it.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you, Troy. Before we begin receiving the verbal submissions, I want to acknowledge the receipt of any submissions prior to the meeting, and there have been none. All right, you'll be given, as I mentioned earlier, 5 minutes for your presentation. I'll call for presentation 3 times before closing the hearing. So first time, call for presentations. Who would like to speak?
So Mayor McCormick. Excuse me, Mayor McCormick, there's a few callers that have called into the meeting. If there's no one present at the meeting that wants to speak first, we can go to one of the callers.
Okay, excellent. So the number...
I've got the first one to call in was Leanne.
Leanne?
Yeah,
okay,
I'm unmuting Leanne now. And
okay, Leanne, you have been unmuted. You're muted. Your turn to speak. Please state your name and your address for the record.
Okay, my name is Leanne Vaughn. I live at 369 7th Avenue. I'm an occupational therapist, and I wanted to speak to the amendment related to the group homes. I've worked for 30 years in the Kootenays, and I've had the privilege to visit a number of the group home facilities throughout the Kootenays, Cranbrook, Creston, into the West Kootenays as well. And there are a number of them, and the ones that I've visited have all been in residential settings. The individuals who I worked with, or the staff that I work with, were in group homes such as women's shelters, transitional homes, homes for persons with cognitive impairment such as Down syndrome or developmental delays, people with stable psychiatric conditions. These people needed support to manage some aspects of their independence. So they needed staffing to help them with their ADLs, so cooking, cleaning, financial management, sometimes social management, as they weren't able to live with family and they weren't able to live on their own. Living in community, I think, gives a high level of benefit to these individuals. It promotes their ability to access community. It gives them quality of life, and normalcy as well. I haven't been aware of any impacts of those group homes on their communities, or sorry, negative impacts of those group homes on their community or neighborhoods. From my perspective, there seems to be a shortage of these types of settings, with my observation, particularly that for younger adults with head injury or care needs that don't allow them to be staying at home, they often are put in long-term care facilities that really aren't set up for them. They're set up more for seniors with really severe physical and cognitive deficits. So the availability or potential for those types of group homes to be set up in our community, I think we'd be really short-sighted to not allow them. The other thing that I've seen often in my line of work is that because of the shortage of beds in our area, that often people get sent hundreds of kilometers away to access beds, and that's just it's highly devastating to the individuals as well as to their families. So I think thinking of our community, thinking of our families, and making sure that if there is opportunity for one of these group homes to be set up in our community, that we're not being short-sighted and not allowing for that. So that's all I have to
That's
say.
it?
Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Thank you very much for your comments, Leanne. Much appreciated.
Thank you. Okay, thanks.
All right, next up, Mary Ann. Start by
Can you hear
stating.
me?
Yep, you're unmuted. If you can just state your name, your full name and address, please.
I
And then
will.
away you go.
It's Marianne Rattray, 470 Fifth Avenue. And I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to address this issue. I am an avid advocate of supporting group homes. I was a counselor in the 80s at a group home for sexually abused teens in Vancouver. It provided a safe, nurturing, therapeutic environment. I believe it is a better alternative to warehousing kids in large facilities. Several populations could benefit from group homes, such as domestic violence victims, homeless seniors, and by the way, we have quite a few seniors living in Cranbrook in shelters. This should be our focus, not car washes and McDonald's. The country has a profound mental health problem because of the lack of proper health services and affordable housing. Europe has been very successful in integrating group homes into the community. We should not hide or alienate people who are physically, emotionally, or mentally challenged. Kimberley could set an example and embrace diversity, compassion, kindness, and resolution. I just would like to see a committee set up to look at this without spending $100,000 on a study or whatever. There's a lot of very professional people that could do a good job and just really looking at the alternatives. And I just really support the idea of group homes. Thanks again for the opportunity.
Excellent, Mary Ann. Thank you very much for your comments.
Okay, thank you.
Is that a coincidence? Okay, Jasmine, you are up. Full name and address, please, and then state your comments.
Good evening, Mayor and Council, and thank you for this opportunity to speak. My name is Jasmine McLean, and my address is 429 2nd Ave, Kimberley, BC. Oh, sorry. I was looking at the live stream, and it is that delay that's throwing me off here.
Yes.
I'm essentially echoing both previous speakers' sentiments in my support for group homes in residential areas. My background is in social work. I have worked in a group home supporting adults with mental health diagnosis, and I've supported individuals experiencing homelessness due to low income, substance use challenges, mental health conditions, diverse abilities, and domestic violence. Because of my experience, I am a strong proponent of group homes and diverse housing models. This change is timely, and I think it reflects the reality of what people in our community are facing. I have worked with many individuals who've had to leave Kimberley simply to access supports or housing options that do not exist here. While their struggles aren't often visible, that invisibility does not mean absence. These challenges are present in our community, even if they're happening quietly. Kimberley is a community for everyone. That means our housing options must reflect everyone, from young people aging out of care to adults with disabilities, to seniors, and to individuals rebuilding after trauma or instability. I think group homes and supportive housing are not fringe services, they're essential parts of a healthy, inclusive community. Rural communities like ours are often chronically underserved. When people cannot access the support they need close to home, they're pushed away from their families, their communities, and their natural networks of support, which creates a lot of grief, as the previous speaker has spoken to. I know that we can't fix every systemic issue, but we can take responsibility for the parts that fall within our municipal control. So that includes zoning and bylaw changes like the one before you today. I feel this is a practical, concrete step towards addressing the growing housing needs that we already know exist. I would like to also highlight the opportunity for economic growth through the jobs created by the development and operation of group homes as another positive. I think that approving this bylaw would send a clear message that Kimberley chooses compassion, inclusion, and proactive planning, and that we are committed to ensuring every resident can live safely and with dignity in their own communities. Thank you.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Jasmine, for your comments. Okay.
No other callers at this time.
Okay, I will call a second time for submissions. Okay, go ahead. Name and address for the record.
Sure, the mic's on here, one sec.
Oh, I get a microphone. Jared Thompson, 350 Kimberley Ave. I was not coming to speak today. I was not prepared, as some of the callers were obviously prepared. I didn't know this was on the agenda. I had heard about it. Somebody had mentioned it, and I asked a few questions around the community about what's going on with this, and nobody's heard anything, it seems like, in my circles. And I'm not, like, the housing, there's a bunch of process things here that I have a question, I guess. But the amendment to the OCP, this is a pretty large amendment, and it doesn't seem like there's been much for public consultation. I guess there's been some meetings. I don't know that anybody's heard about them. We haven't had as many submissions. You mentioned 0 submissions here or whatever. I don't think this has been engaged at the level it probably should be by the city. I could be wrong because I haven't heard. So I'll just put that out there as happy to be proven wrong on that. Reading a little bit here in your report about the group home piece, I can't argue against victims of domestic violence or sexually abused teens or different things like that. Obviously, those type of group homes are very important. I would think that though homeless shelters and things like that do have a massive impact. And I don't know that you can just lump them into the group home aspect. And again, please put your hand up and prove me wrong or say that's not the case. I'm happy to hear that if that is the case. Nobody? So
Can't, we're not debating it, Jared.
no, fair enough. No, I was just, I
Just
was looking
listening
for,
to you.
yeah, I had
Yeah.
questions, I guess I can't
Good,
get answered.
wonderful question.
So, in terms of some of those pieces, shelters for victims of different things, those are great things. I would never argue against those things. I think those should be accessible. I think they are accessible right now. We're taking one little barrier away. I do worry about taking council out of the decision-making a little bit, because taking council out is taking public out, right? Your views should be reflective of the people who live in Kimberley's views. So, yeah, I guess lots of questions, and especially related to the process here more than anything. This is an OCP, every 5-year type change, it seems, and I don't know that it's been publicly engaged at the level it needs to be for this level of change. So I'll leave that at that. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks for your comments. So I will call for submissions a third and final time. No further callers.
No further callers at this time.
All right, with no further submissions, the public hearing for proposed bylaws 2793, 2794, and 2795 is now closed. Thanks to everybody for your cooperation and patience this evening. We'll now continue with our regular meeting agenda. And first up, we have the aligning official community plan and zoning bylaws, housing needs, to housing needs. And this will be the third reading for these amending bylaws. And the motion on the floor, first motion on the floor is that council approve third reading of bylaw 2793. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Cairns, thank you. And Councillor McGuire seconds. All right, there are 3 motions this evening, one for each of those bylaws. So we have the first one on the floor. So we'll kind of have the conversation around kind of all 3 of these, because it's basically the same for all 3. All right, Troy, did you have anything you wanted to add?
If I may, I'll turn that over to Justin Cook, our senior planner, if there's just as a short summary there.
Okay, please go ahead, Justin.
All right, thank you. Yes, not a lot to add. We've been through this bylaw a number of times now. This was started back in April of this year, where council did authorize moving forward with the official community plan and zoning bylaw review. After public engagement, a few rounds of that, brought forward the amending bylaws as presented for first reading back in October. And now we're looking at third reading following the public hearing. Yeah, I'll maybe leave it at that for now. And if there's more questions from council, I'll be happy to answer any.
Okay, awesome. Thanks. Thanks for that, Justin. Council. Councillor Cairns, go ahead.
Sure, thanks. I just thought I'd point out that that there was a public survey and there was a town hall, and so fairly extensive engagement on the housing piece. So I think there might even have been 2 separate surveys conducted. I'm not sure, but there was a town hall as well. And I just also, want to clarify that our zoning would allow in most residential areas for group homes to avoid increasing the already very substantial requirements to become established. So there's rigorous licensing by the province, not an easy thing to do. So it's not as though these would be proliferating. It is just simply a way to not add more bureaucracy to an already very bureaucratic process. And also that these are permanent homes for people, other than, say, the, victims of domestic violence, and say, that would be a transitional piece, but these are not shelter spaces per se. So as I look at it, it's a way actually to help prevent people from ending up in a situation where they're homeless. It's not going out and so a big difference there. And there's 8 of them throughout residential areas in Creston. There's several in Cranbrook, all really well managed. They're all full. And so it's actually just spent the weekend in a adaptive ski summit and spent time with people who, one man was blind that I was skiing with, another had cerebral palsy, someone with multiple sclerosis. They're all people who need this type of facility. And so, yeah, adding to the challenge, we kind of dropped off the social housing piece quite a number of years ago and shifted our focus to the highest bidder. And it's really left a lot of people out. So I'm in strong support of this. We're a community of 9,000 people now. We're not simply a resort. And I think it's really important that we be a whole community reflective of the reality of life. So yeah, there's my position. Thanks.
Councillor Roberts, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a number of friends, especially in the East, that work in group homes and provide medical services and provide the care that many of these people with diverse needs daily require. And I have most respect for all sides of that. I am, however, in agreement with the speaker who indicated that he felt that we should not take the council piece out of this. I feel very strongly about the fact that we have in our minds the neighborhoods as they sit and as they are positioned and how they are situated in our community, where as a group, we might best choose the areas that would be more appropriate for a group home than another. I think that without going into too much detail, there are places where there are lots that if we decided to do a group home, it would raise quite a ruckus. And I think as council, we need to tap into that, knowing that we can approve something of this nature in the place that's most healthy for everyone and not to create a rough situation for anybody. So that would just be my take on it.
Councillor McBain.
Yeah, similar take. I mean, I agree. I don't think, and I hope everybody around this table, supports, almost all the situations that have been mentioned where, where people are requiring housing and particularly in a group home. I think the challenge that I've had with this is that flexibility, I guess, or at least review of coming through council, because it does take the public portion out of things a little bit. I agree with what you're saying, Sue, in the sense that, you certainly want to, if there's barriers at the IH level or whatever, we certainly want to try to, make things as simple as possible. But I don't think this is one that, if the need is there for a particular group of folks, I don't think council is going to be the prohibitive part. I would say, I think the part of having us excluded from that is the issue, or the part I have issue with. Yeah, because I think the bureaucracy is not necessarily at our level. It would be more at other levels. So yeah, that's kind of my feedback from this. I mean, I'm completely supportive of trying to take care of folks who need to be taken care of. It's just the way that we're doing it, I think, is just, it's almost too streamlined. But anyway.
Thank you, Councillor McBain. Go ahead, Councillor McGuire.
I may as well respond directly to that. And this is just off the top of my head, so. Yeah, I'm just looking at it as like group homes. I mean, if we're doing it specifically by neighborhood, my guess is that it's still going to require a public hearing. I don't know if that's true. And for the zoning changes, and although it may be in alignment with our OCP, I imagine that when you get to that level, there's more likelihood of specific citizens within the neighborhoods pushing back, and it becomes and then it becomes back to, do we want these in residential zones or not? And I think that there is an argument in both directions. I'm not saying there isn't, but when you're looking at 10 or less people per group home, and these people specifically being referred by hospitals and by government agencies to these homes, and them being regulated by the government. It's not just a homeless shelter. It's not just being referred to by, a nonprofit off the street or something like that. I think that there is some advantage to having these spread out throughout a community rather than concentrating them in a specific zone. So it's just a counter to that. Thanks.
Thank you, Councilor Dwyer. Further? Yeah, I've got a couple of comments and then I'll come back to you, Sue. So I think it's important, and everybody would agree around the table here, this isn't about the need that's here for the recipients of a group home. For goodness sake, we have group homes already in Kimberley. And in fact, between Kimberley and Cranbrook, CMHA, I think, have something like 125 or so doors that they have under lease. I think for me, so you mentioned, we're 9,000 people. Well, we're not West Kelowna, we're not 50, 100 or 200,000 population, which is where, most of the references come from. So I guess I asked the question, how many group homes do we require in Kimberley? We have proven over the last little while, most recently with our allocation of the Knighton Avenue properties towards social housing, that as a council, we are not only open, but we're very sensitive to what the needs and the impacts in the community are. And we did that without having to have anything embedded in our particular bylaws. So in the staff report, it mentions that this would a group home to be established in any of these zones by right and without the need for a rezoning process and the accompanying public hearing process. So it's no rezoning, no public hearing, and no council oversight for what would arguably be 1, 2 facilities. And to change our kind of our bylaws to incorporate something that would be citywide by like that, it just seems like a kind of a really, an overreach on our part to do that. Yeah, so the other point I want to make is that, basically what we're doing here is a form of delegation of authority. And we don't even delegate authority to staff for the simplest of things that are part of our building bylaws. In fact, we avoid delegation of authority, it seems, or at least we have over the number of years. And yet with something this big throughout the entire community, it just seems like overreach. And I think we can be sensitive. I think we can be supportive. And I think we can recognize community impacts of all kinds as a council and as future councils. I think we've proven that. So I think that delegation of authority is just not appropriate for for this particular bylaw. Go ahead, Councillor Fox. Oh, hang on. Yeah, you haven't spoken yet, so go ahead.
I don't actually think it's about delegation of authority. This is not disrespect to you, Don, or Mayor McCormick. I think it's more about dignity. And I think that there's sort of a misconception that group homes equal bad, and it's bad people doing bad things or escaping bad situations, and all of the bad that comes from it is going to be bad in the community, and then it's just going to get bad, 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 right? And that's just not the reality of it at all. It's people any one of us could wind up in a situation where we need support at home, right? Where we're not in a situation where we can provide our own personal care or whatever it is. Any one of us could wind up in a situation where we need to flee a situation where we're not safe. And it's this weird connotation that I don't like. That feels it just feels really disrespectful to the people that live in those situations. Because again, it can, and I've seen this happen to lots of people who they don't start out with a brain injury and then they have one, and you know they can't live at home anymore because you know they need a level of care that someone at home can't give them, et cetera, et cetera. It's just the thought of like a public hearing for some of these things, just like that makes my skin crawl. It really does. And it just, I feel like it's just there's a really ugly potential opportunity there for something that, you're correct, Mayor McCormick, like we're talking about probably 2 or 3, because the other piece to it is, in addition to being able to pass all of the things that they'll need to pass, right? Like putting in sprinklers and whatever else. They need to be able to buy the property, and like realistically, they're like some of these places, like they're just not going to be places that are going to be viable for a lot of what these organizations would be looking for. So I think the panic of removing a council opportunity to weigh in on something is just, I don't think it's problematic. I also think that if it was something that was a really big issue, you probably could step in as council. Maybe I'm wrong on that, I don't know. But theoretically, I mean, anything's possible. So yeah, that's my thought.
Go ahead, Troy.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Mayor. I did want to just clarify for council. I know there is a lot of information here, and the fact that there's 3 separate bylaws being considered tonight. Just to clarify that and just sort of listening to the comments being made by councilors that seem to be primarily focused around the group home allowances that are proposed. Those are in fact more of a specific proposal in the bylaw 2795, which is amendments to the 1850 zoning bylaw. The motion that's on the table here is about the official community plan amendments, which are the wider kind of general policy amendments summarized in the staff report, pages 11 to 12, I think it is. And so just to clarify, I guess that to focus those comments or questions or concerns, I guess, to that particular bylaw more so than the other 2, I would say.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Thank you. Thank you for that. There's the other actually point that I forgot to make was the other piece of this where we are prioritizing city land for social housing. It also plays a role here. It's city land. Typically, like we did with Knighton Avenue, I think we are giving it to whoever the proponent is, not at any cost at all. So it also supports what what everybody would like to see and do with making group homes affordable, not just accessible in the community. Sue, you had your hand up earlier.
Thanks. We're just seeing we're seeing it right here, right now. There's talking with neighborhoods where they have group homes. It's like, there's a sense of pride and getting to know the individuals and going, this is really good. And we saw it in Cranbrook with a housing development that went in. Everybody says no upfront, and then as time goes by, those relationships are developed, and it becomes a source of pride. So I just, if these have to go to public hearing, and then, a small faction of people get to decide whose needs for housing get met and whose don't, it's just not fair. Like yes, it comes back to council, but it gets swayed, and it's something I think is a social responsibility. So I do think it's very important, and I think it's not something that's appropriate to go to public hearing. And then in terms of those who are victims of domestic violence. You can't have these things go to public hearing because they're highly confidential. The community can't know that they exist. So yeah, I don't think that's a viable option personally.
Yeah, thanks for that, Sue. Just to be clear, public hearings are specifically for zoning, nothing to do with what will go there, or in particular, specific people. I mean, that just is not part of what we do with public hearings. Councilor McBain, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to share, I really like, Diana, I like your perspective about sharing the, potential, indignity for somebody. And that is, for myself, the last thing I would want to do to anybody is have somebody feel like that, or whether it's they're part of a group or what have you. I guess it's just the thing that I'm struggling with is that, and I don't think we can take something back, like you said. If we did see something we didn't like, and if we had this put through, we are giving up that ability. So, and I think that's the crux of where I'm struggling right now, and it's hung up around an administrative issue. Really, when you think about it, it's not a compassionate issue. It's not it's not coming from a place of malice. It's really just, we do have to let the public have their say, and that is through us on some of these things. And I think I have enough confidence around this group that we would make the right decision. And like Sue, you referenced, sometimes the first thing is always no, and that would be unfortunate to hear. But I think we have enough leadership to do the right thing around this group to be able to make those decisions. So I know it seems, it almost seems, I don't know, it's too bad that it's got to a decision around, where it almost, people could question your, some of our feelings or compassion towards people. But for me, that's not really what this is about. It's more of that, just that ability to echo what the public is after, and hopefully support people that need the support in the right situation. So, yeah.
Thank you, Councillor. Further? Last comment from Councillor Roberts, and then we'll call the question.
I recall, sorry. I recall when they needed to put when they chose to put the group home in that's up on Tadnak, up in that direction there. And it's quite a big building. It's numbered 2 or 3 floors up there, and they have caregivers in there from time to time as needed. Everyone up there recognizes who they are, recognizes them with respect, looks out for them, pays attention to them because they're ours. They belong to us. We care for them. We watch over them. We make sure they have a ride when they don't know if they've got one. We as a community have embraced that group of people. And I think that is just human nature, that most of us are going to do that. There's always going to be a naysayer or somebody like that. But in general, we embrace those people who are ours in our community, and heaven forbid the person who shows up with his dukes up and wants to be mean to one of them. We don't allow that. I've seen that in the bar where someone goes in and there's like 12 guys that pretend they don't even know that person till a stranger comes in and is rude to him. And the stranger disappears real fast. So they are ours. They belong to us. We care for them. Wherever they are in our community. And I'm just suggesting that they be placed, if this is going to happen, let's place them in a place in the community where it can be that way. Let's not put them in a place where it is not likely to happen. So that we can embrace them, so that we can give them that sense of community that they all deserve.
Thank you for the comments, Councillor Roberts. Go ahead, Councillor Dunneback.
Yeah, I just want to say, I agree with just about every comment that was made around the table here tonight. And everybody deserves a place to feel safe. Doesn't matter what's going on. I'm essentially surrounded by all sorts of different care homes where I live. And it makes me feel good to know that I'm in a community that has enough forethought to have built these facilities. And I guess the only thing that I could see that I would like to be a part of is to make sure that when these facilities are being made, that they're being put in a spot where they're linked to, so they're accessible on bus routes, first plowed street, et cetera, so that if there is any issue for health, safety, anything like that, that it's an easy in and out, whether it's, just that it's placed properly and not in somewhere where it's hard to get to. And so it makes it easier for the people to become part of the community, and everybody's safe and happy.
Thank you, Councillor Dunback. Okay, so the first motion on the floor, this is for 2793, which is the Kimberley Official Community Plan Bylaw. And I'll call the question. All those in favor? Those opposed? Pardon me, just hang on one second. Let me clarify, Troy. Going back to your comments about the which of the bylaws and things that we're talking about, staff report in here kind of, I think it blends everything in.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you, Mayor McCormick. Yeah, just as another attempt to try to clarify. I think, predominantly the comments from most councillors or every councillor has been about the group homes questions. And those are more specifically
1850.
amendments proposed in the third bylaw 2795, which is amendments to the zoning bylaw 1850. While there is some supporting policy amendments in this bylaw 2793, which is the motion under consideration, if council is to approve third reading of bylaw 2793, the OCP amendments, there's still a decision to be made around the group homes there. But if third reading is defeated of the OCP amendments, then it really does cause us to essentially start over on these things. So if there's a feeling of majority council that they're just that they're not comfortable enough to proceed with third reading on any of the three bylaws, then I would strongly recommend that council agree to defer and preferably try to by resolution give some direction to bring back some additional information or request specific changes so that we can properly assess those rather than to kind of starting over from the start.
Okay, thanks for that clarification, Troy. So, in my particular case, the only issue I have with any of the suggested changes you have is with the broadness of the group home thing. So passing the first two of those will not have an impact on that. That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah. The third bylaw that's on the list there for consideration of third reading, bylaw 2795, that is one has the most impactful changes regarding the group homes.
Okay, awesome. Thank you for that. Any further clarification needed, council? Yeah, we're good. Okay, on bylaw 2793, which is the OCP, call the question. All those in favor? Anybody opposed? That motion is carried. Next up, the council approved third reading of 2794, which is the Kimberley Alpine Resort zoning bylaw. Further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. And finally, the council.
Mr. Mayor, did we have a first and seconder on that? Or did we jump right into?
We did? Okay, can I have a mover, please? Councillor McBain moves. Councillor Fox seconds. We'll do this one more time. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. And then finally, the council approved third reading of bylaw 2795, which is the amendment to the City of Kimberley zoning bylaw 1850, our building code bylaw. All those in favor? Opposed? Sorry about that. Sorry about that. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor Cairns moves. Thank you. And Councillor McGuire seconds. All right, we'll do this one more time. All those in favor? Opposed? Roberts, McBain, and McCormick are opposed. That motion is carried. Okay. Thank you, council. Rigorous discussion as always. Next up, we have for adoption, a couple of bylaws for adoption that we've been through a couple of times over the meetings, and that is the waterworks rates and the sewer rates bylaws. So first up, we have bylaw 2797, which is the waterworks rates and regulations bylaw. Could I have a mover, please? Councillor McBain moves and Councillor Fox seconds. Do we have any further discussion on this? This is for adoption. We've kind of already run through this a couple of times. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. And bylaw 2796, which is the City of Kimberley Sewer Rates and Regulations bylaw. Mover, please. Councillor McBain moves and Councillor McGuire seconds. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Okay, next up, we have the water treatment plant project update. So you've thrown a kink into this, Jim, by putting a K in front of WWTP. This is the first time we've seen that. I assume that means Kimberley. Okay, Nick, or was it you that threw the wrench in there?
Sorry, that might have been me. That's our acronym for the project, yes, and it is Kimberley.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, Mayor McCormick. So as the report entails, this is just for information update on the project for council and the public. Hard to believe our last update was in August of this year, but lots has been happening behind the scenes on that. And I'll try to give just a brief summary of it, and I'll open it up to questions if there's any further questions from council. So as we mentioned, we achieved our validation, successful validation in the summer here, which moved the project into the implementation phase. And right now, the big heavy lifting is really in the detailed design. So finalizing all scopes in terms of process, structural, mechanical, et cetera, and really refining that design and getting towards issued for construction set of drawings. So that's the bulk of the work that's happening. At the same time, we submitted our municipal waste regulation package, so the MWR package, to the province in September, and we've been working with them closely, getting regular monthly updates. Of course, there was the strike during that time, but we've been keeping good updates. And from the last update last week, this project is top priority on their list, and they're working through it. And things are sounding good at that end, and we're working towards either an early construction approval or the full MWR registration early in the new year. So that's a big thing that we're keeping an eye on and working closely with the province. As well, we did do some early works this fall. So we had some equipment down there, really just some removals and ground preparation to really line us up to hit the ground running in the spring with foundations and concrete works to kick off right away in April. So looking ahead, as we work through the detailed design, we're putting together some packages that will be ready to go out for tendering early in the new year, so January, February timeframe, to start securing some contractors for different scopes of work. Again, as we work through the detailed design, we're continuing to de-risk everything that we can and work towards securing what we call a final target price. So we validated on the base target costs, and then as we work through detailed design and secure different work packages, we work towards a final target cost. And from there, if there's any savings that we're able to achieve during that detailed design phase, we can choose to reinvest those savings back into the project for added value items. So we're working through that. Be probably at same sort of time frame, spring, to start locking in those prices, and all to hopefully hit the ground running in early April with the real kickoff of construction.
Excellent. Can you also maybe speak to the project management. I know Shane's last day was Friday. Kind of what's an update on backfilling that?
Yeah, thank you, Mayor McCormick. Yeah, Shane has moved on, as you mentioned there, and we are working with our consultant who was doing the IPD advising and acting as a bit of an owner's rep for us to help backfill that position and provide support to myself and the project team from the owner's side.
Okay, you're comfortable with that? It's all good?
Yeah, we will. There will be a report coming to council in the new year with a proposal on that we can review and discuss. Yeah.
So the timeframe as identified in the report here looks like we'll be flipping the switch in 2028. So I don't know, summertime or whatever in 2028. So 2.5 years.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We're planning to start commissioning summer of 2028 and be kind of complete and sending treated effluent to the river in the fall of 2028.
Right. Mm-hmm. Excellent. Thanks, Nick. Go ahead, Councillor Dunneback.
What's the capacity of the new wastewater treatment plant per number?
It's 12,500 and change. I don't have the exact number in front of me, but that includes a portion of transient population in there, like visitors recreational population.
Further? No, good. Further, council? All right, thanks. Thanks for that, Nick.
Thank you.
So the motion on the floor is that we receive the report. A mover, please. Councillor Roberts, thank you. And Councillor McGuire seconds. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay, next up, we have the Economic Development Capacity Review and the REDIP grant application. The motion on the floor is that council receive the Capacity Review and Rural and the REDIP grant application report dated December the 8th. Mover, please. Councillor Cairns moves and Councillor Fox seconds. Pam, I take it you're going to speak to this?
Sure. Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Mayor. The purpose of the report is to inform council that we did make an application on October 31st to the REDIP grant program, or Rural Economic Diversification and Infrastructure Program. And that was for the development of an economic development capacity review. The review is intended to support council's corporate strategic priority of economic resiliency, and it'll build on work being conducted by the Chamber of Commerce currently from their REDIP funded study that they're conducting right now. If the grant is successful, we will hire contract support to provide a strategic roadmap to guide future investment in and planning for economic development in Kimberley in an intentional way.
You've spoken to the REDIP folks?
Yes, Jasmine and I did have a conversation with Alex Dennis prior to submission, and she was excited about it and thought it was a great idea and encouraged us to submit. So
yeah, cool.
Mhm.
They have a history of approving these in particular. I know Cranbrook got one a couple of years ago. So that's good. Awesome. Thanks. Council. Go ahead, Councillor McBain.
Yeah, I just think it's nice to be since we've not had an economic development officer, I think it's obviously we've had some issues come up, and we've had some pretty robust debate about where the opportunities that could arise here in Kimberley. So I think anything that helps shed some light for us and it gives us some reference points to work with is super helpful. So that's it.
All right. Thank you, Councillor McBain. Further? Councillor Cairns, go ahead.
Yeah, just likewise, with the November 3rd decision and a lot of concern that, we are absolutely open for business, and currently we're in a position where we're just reacting, and this will help us move into a position where we can actually engage collaboratively and strategically and very intentionally. So I think it's fantastic. I'm really, really happy to see this. So I look forward to hopefully a positive result on the grant application.
Awesome. Thank you for the comments. Further? Just by way of, so a lot of people have been asking, like, why don't we have an economic development manager in place? And I forget the year. It was at least 5 ago. It was pre-COVID. So let's call it 5 or 6 years ago, I guess. The economic development manager that was in place at the time, we were at a bit of a crossroads. We were going from kind of an average volume on building permits of anywhere from, I don't know, $8 to $12 million, maybe as high as $14 million a year. And the planning department consisted of Troy, another half-time planner, and one building inspector. And the CIO at the time, Scott Somerville, we had a conversation about not so much economic development or business development, but economic impact. And where were we going to put the dollars that were being spent in that department to best use for economic impact? And as we were starting to leverage up the activity in the building permits, it was decided that that money would be put into planning. That planning had the highest economic impact that we have for investment in the city. That turned out, and so I guess we went from kind of the 2.5 to I guess Troy plus 2 planners plus 2 building inspectors, I think, which is kind of the role that's there now. And we moved $250,000 that was being spent over in the economic development area over to planning to be able to take all of that into account. Turned out to be a really good decision, given that the last 3 or 4 years, I don't think we've been under 20 million. We've hit 54 million, I think. We're coming pretty close to 40 or 50 this year too, I think, aren't we? Yeah. So, so at the time, that was a great decision. However, it was a circumstantial thing. And here we are, fast forward 5 years, and we find ourselves, you know, in a position where we need to leverage to the next level, and we need somebody in that seat. And so the process of going through and aligning kind of what that looks like with our strategic goals is a really critical thing. And I'm pretty optimistic we're going to get that and be able to get that done here in the next short while.
Mr. Mayor, if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
The one thing that always sticks out in my mind, and you referred to the amount of $250,000 because that's what we're paying in ED. That is 2.5% up on your on your taxation, right?
Yeah, I appreciate that. So to be clear, though, that's not what we paid the person. That was the budget for the entire department. So, I mean, once you put somebody in there, they have to have some money to work with.
Yeah.
And we're going to have to come to grips with what that's going to look like here as well.
But every 1% is 1% on taxes. Every $100,000 spent is 1% on taxes.
Yeah, I think it's a bit higher than that now, Sandra. Just for
Just saying, I mean,
Kristen?
that's the argument, is that we need to understand that in order to do these marvelous things, somebody's got to pay.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, your point is well taken. For council clarity, Krista, what is the current 1%?
Yes, it's approximately 140,000.
140 now. Yeah. So that's what comes with the elevated non-market change and the growth that we've experienced over the last while. Okay, cool. Next up, we have, did we call the question on that? Okay, we'll call the question. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion's carried. All right, good luck with that, Pam. Put the pressure on. Okay, next up we have acting mayor appointments for 2026.
Mr. Mayor, I think we just had the first resolution there. I don't think we got the second. Second and third.
Oh yeah, there was no and further on that one. Okay, cool. Next up, we have if the grant application submitted to REDIP is successful, staff be directed to develop a request for proposals to solicit bids from qualified consultants to undertake the study. And further, that the associated scope of work be presented for council's review and approval at a future meeting. Councillor McBain moves and Councillor Roberts seconds. All those in favor? Yep, further discussion. Go ahead, Councillor Cairns.
I know it's in the report, but I just want to emphasize the aspect of collaborating with the chamber if this were to be approved on the scope, so that we're really, you know, fully well coordinated on addressing the gaps and avoiding any duplication. So just wanted to emphasize that point. And also, we'll wait to hear into the spring. It would be amazing if there were any possibility of forming a committee, an economic development committee with representation from different organizations, because there are things that are unfolding in the meantime. So I just wanted to kind of put a bookmark in there or something.
So fair enough. It's a great idea. In fact, it's sitting fairly low right now on the corporate officers list to come up with the terms of reference. It was requested quite some time ago, and again, it's pretty busy these days. So stay tuned. It is on the list. Okay. Did you have a comment, Councillor McBain? Okay. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. Okay, acting mayor appointments. Jasmine has polled everybody, and everybody has probably told her, I have no idea. And so we have a draft. And bear in mind that as we are away over the course of the year, we can switch to make sure that we have somebody filling the gap. So the motion on the floor is that the councillors be appointed as per the report. Yeah, can I have a move, please? Councillor Fox moves and Councillor McBain seconds. All those in favor? Discussion.
No, we're just gonna do it. We're gonna do it. I'm on vacation the first part of January, but I don't think we have any meetings, so.
Okay.
I meant to talk to you, Don, and then I forgot, so
That's all right.
let's just roll.
We do have an opportunity to.
And I did not engage with Jasmine, so she can be mad at me later on. I'm sorry, Jasmine.
Okay.
But yeah, no, let's move it forward.
Okay, we're good. We did call the question. Yeah, we did. We did. Okay, last up, prior to going into in camera, we have correspondence to receive. Could I have a mover for receipt of what's under correspondence in the report plus the late items? Councillor Cairns moves and Councillor McBain seconds. Any comments? Call the question. All those in favor? Motion is carried. Okay. What's that? If you have something to report, go right ahead.
I just want to highlight the Helping Hands Food Bank. AGM is on December the 10th, and then the Nature Park AGM is on this Thursday, December 11th at the Elks Club.
Yeah, at the Elks.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's it.
Will food be served?
Yes.
Actually, it looks like an awesome evening. Live music, live music and food, cash bar.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks for that, Sue. You want to tell us when the Dynamiter games are?
Friday and Sunday.
Friday and Sunday. All right.
Tickets early for Friday.
Okay, could I have a mover to move to in camera? Councillor McGuire, thank you. And Councillor Roberts seconds. All those in favor? Any opposed? That motion is carried. All right, 2 minutes. Thanks, folks. Thanks for being here, staff. Thanks for being here, Jarrett.